Well, it's Saturday night, and Lady Lisa left me home alone. So I thought I'd have a little fun and put together one of these videos helping people understand certain aspects of their digital cameras. Tonight, I'd like to go over close-up photography and macro mode. Now, way down yonder, or as we say here in New England, way down yonder, 2 feet away, is a salt shaker. When you turn your camera on, it automatically goes to normal shooting mode. Let's find out if this camera will focus on that salt shaker from 2 feet away in normal shooting mode. Sure does. But what happens when we bring that salt shaker closer, let's say 12 inches away? Suddenly, the camera is reporting to us that it's having difficulty obtaining a perfect focus. So what do? Do we give up? Nah, we don't give up. That's when we shift the camera from normal shooting mode to macro mode, the icon of the tulip. In macro mode, we're able to focus on objects which are much closer. So at 12 inches, let's try again. Ta-da! We can focus perfectly. Let's try to cut that distance in half. Let's go from 12 inches to 6 inches. Can we focus? Oh yeah, we can focus. Let's try to cut it in half again. Let's try 3 inches. Will it work? Sure will. How about 2 inches? Wow. Now, do we dare do 1 inch? Of course, I know the answer to this already, but let's find out. Bah. Nope, we can't focus from 1 inch. So, in the case of this camera, to review, when we're 2 feet away, in normal shooting mode, camera has no trouble. But at 12 inches away, camera tells us, I'm having some difficulty. And that's when we use macro mode. Now on your camera, the distance at which you will begin to have focusing trouble might be slightly different. Could be 14 inches, 16 inches, could be 11 inches or 10 inches, but at some point your camera will have difficulty focusing when you're getting close to your subject. So, when that happens, we switch the camera from normal shooting mode to macro mode. And then our problem disappears. And we can use macro mode all the way up to a certain distance. For most cameras, that's 2 inches away. When we try to get too close, however, it doesn't work. And so, I hope that clears up some of the mystery about macro mode. That was the first thing I wanted to discuss with you tonight. Now I'm going to rearrange things a little bit and go over something else. Alright, here we have our little dime. And still talking about macro mode, what we know so far is that we can be 2 inches away and we can get a good focus, like that. But some of us, myself included, would like greater magnification. So, we already established that we can't obtain greater magnification by bringing the camera closer because that just doesn't work. We can't focus from that close. So some of us might say, well, hey, let's try to use zoom. But nope, no dice. Now I'll explain that to you. When you're using macro mode, you cannot use zoom. Not even the slightest little level of zoom. Watch. I'm at 2 inches and I focused in macro mode. Now I'm just going to give it a tiny little tug on the zoom, 1 notch. And the camera will not focus. So, when you're in macro mode, you can't use zoom and you can't get too close. So, does that mean that you're stuck with a dime that fills 1/3 of the frame? No, of course not. This is something you can do. You can add an extra lens to your camera. In this case, I'm using the Little BigShot Image Amplifier. It's a simple snap-on lens. And wait till you see what it allows the camera to do. All right, let's fill the frame with the dime. Let's zoom. This thing allows you to zoom at 2 inches and still focus. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Well, that's a little fuzzy. Let me try that again. That's better, isn't it? Watch this. Even at full 4x zoom on this camera, I can still get a nice photograph. Isn't that something else? Let me adjust the light here so we get better image details. All right, now when you're using this device, I want you to notice something. As you come close to the dime, you'll see the focus come in, and then it drifts out when you go closer. The same thing on the way back out. We get a good focus, and then when we come back, we lose the focus. So when you're using an extra lens in your camera, you simply find your focus, your good focus, and take your good picture. And use that, don't be afraid to use that zoom and zoom in real tight, and then just bring the camera in until you have a good focus. Look at that. I'll bet you didn't think that your little tiny compact camera could operate like one of those big fancy expensive DSLRs with one of those big fancy expensive macro lenses. But there you have it. As you can see, it can be done. Now watch something else about this little add-on lens. I'm going to deliberately throw this photo out of focus. See, it's clearly out of focus, it's all fuzzy, but that doesn't mean that you still can't get a good shot, because just hold that shutter button halfway down and then just move the camera until the focus comes in, and you still get a beautiful macro. See that? You don't have to worry about focus any longer. That's not focused, is it? Move the camera. That's focused. See? Isn't that nice? All right, so that's it. We learned about macro mode. We learned about when to use it. We learned about exceeding the limits of your camera's macro mode by adding a lens to the front of the camera. I use the one that's called Little BigShot Image Amplifier. And that's it. I had fun. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. And, well, next time Lady Lisa leaves me home alone, I'll make another one of these videos. Good night.